Okay, got it. We're only 18 minutes late. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. Okay, my name is Courtland Smith. Today's topic is the art of the healer. So this is my story with the art of the healer, and once I heard of it in Christopher Tim's Sound Energy Dynamics class, how I pondered it for like a long time. I still ponder it quite a bit. So a little bit about me. I'm a neuromuscular massage therapist. I do all kinds of different body work. I do specialized kinesiology because this is going to play a part in the talk. And then I met Christopher at the expos, and I took the Sound Energy Dynamics class, where he teaches the art of the healer as is a critical part of doing the tuning fork work. And the art of the healer is basically you're not broken and there's nothing to fix. So then, you know, that's a really big statement. It's so simple, but it's huge. With the tuning fork process, it's completely non-diagnostic. It's like one of the most non-diagnostic things I've ever come across. You know, you don't even have to have the person's story. You don't have to do any of that. All you have to do is just see them as not broken, see their divine blueprint, the divinity within, and away you go. So I was doing the class and everything is great, but then I get back into my world where I'm working on people, doing body work, neuromuscular work. You got knots here, you know, your shoulders, doing this funky thing, and you got a bit of a limp or pain somewhere, and I have to like kind of get people's stories, and I'm thinking, okay, I really subscribe to this. You're not broken, and there's nothing to fix. So how do I incorporate this art of the healer into one, regular day life, but then also into my practice with everything else? And I would think about it and think about it and think about it. And it was a long process of, yeah, I have to hear the stories and I got to do the thing, but then just letting all that flow around me and not grabbing onto any of it. And I started imagining on the table their perfect divine blueprint of a body, and then I was just kind of taking the clay. I would just kind of imagine the body kind of like clay, and then I was just forming it back into the divine blueprint. Just like in the Sound Energy Dynamics, with the sound and the tuning forks, as you're tuning the body, one of his analogies is like a violin and you got wax all over the strings. So I'm just kind of like helping remove the wax from the body. So I thought that was pretty cool. I was removing myself from the equation, even though I was a massage therapist doing the work. Which was really fun, actually. I had a lot more fun in sessions helping people. And really I was, you know, then I started to look for that spark. You know, when someone's eyes light up and they just get that spark, when they have that new sense of being. They've changed their radio station. With the tuning fork work, it's the new set point, a new level of calm, and having all the chords or whatever, everything is, we've taken your cup, emptied it upside down, and whatever you want to put back in it is good to go. So I was working at introducing that into the sessions. I don't have to tell everybody what I'm thinking and how I'm presenting my work, because that was really hard for me to like grasp. Not, logically it was kind of easy, but doing the work, the sound of the art of the healer was a little bit more difficult when I'm like, okay, I'm working on this shoulder that had these surgeries and all this other stuff, or this posture related issue, and I was just seeing their divine blueprint or imagining it, and then I was just pushing the clay back where it needed to go. And a lot of people will ask me, like, what do you do for yourself? How do you ground? How do you protect yourself? How do you not carry everybody's stuff home? When I started incorporating the mentality of the art of the healer, that there's nothing to fix, that part was easy. I didn't have to think about any of that anymore. If there's nothing to fix, there's nothing for me to grab onto. There's nothing of theirs to grab onto me, because that's all just when you're down in the mud, kind of. That's not a great analogy, but just orchestrating. So I just kind of pretend everything's like a giant tuning fork session, whether I'm using tuning forks or not. I have some great teacher clients, we'll call them great teacher clients, who, they come in and their energy is very loud, and then seeing them and their divine blueprint. And I like the words divine blueprint, because you're not using the word perfect or any of that. It's just, that's them. That's their divine blueprint. Much easier for me. And as long as I'm able to hold that space in my mind of seeing them past all the stories. I think that's the hardest part, is seeing past all the stories to them in their divine blueprint, and then just doing the work, because the work always follows however it's supposed to go. It's their world. I'm just a facilitator in that session, whatever session it is. I kind of nicknamed it leaving room for the miracles to happen, because if I'm just constantly in that state of seeing them as their divine blueprint, then really the choice is up to them. It's all about them in what they want to happen. I've had some people come in and it's just a very simple body work session, but they can get the most, huge results, insane results. Or I can have somebody come in and I hold the same mentality, and it could be the most extravagant, complicated series of body work, and they come back in later with similar issues. But as we keep going and we keep helping them with the new set points, the new radio stations that they achieve and reach to, then, you know, if they stick with it, I think it's just they start to see it, that's the best part, is when you start to see it yourself. I was doing a self-tuning one day, and I realized, oh my goodness, I have to see myself, see past all my stories. If I really want to do a great tuning for myself, I have to look past all my stories. And I'm probably my own hardest client, looking past all my stories to my divine blueprint to do the self-tuning. That was a very interesting time period for myself. I was like, oh my goodness, I never thought about it. I was like, okay, you're just doing the car wash on yourself, no biggie. And then it hit me. I was like, oh, if I really got to do this, I gotta do it all the way, which means let go of all my stories. And then it just makes me chuckle, actually. What helped me get through that was inner light, inner sound. So I would just take a moment, breathe, focus on the inner light and inner sound, and then everything else kind of disappears, and I do the tuning. For my really great teacher clients, that's what I end up having to really sink into, is just disappearing into inner light, inner sound, letting everything else wash away, and then do the work. So the art of the healer has been top of mind for me pretty much ever since that first tuning fork class. Well, it's got to be a year and a half ago, at least, if not more. I don't remember. But it has really changed how I do the work. I grew up doing specialized kinesiology or touch for health, muscle testing, balancing. And in the touch for health system, it's all about self-responsibility. If you're helping somebody with the balance, to do great muscle testing, you have to have no bias. You don't even look at the muscle. You don't look at them in the eye. You just need to breathe, have them breathe, and then drop the bias. But for it to be a great muscle test, is they also have to drop the bias for their own body and their own thing. Having the curiosity, or childlike curiosity, is the best frame of mind to be in when doing the muscle testing. So this is something that I've grown up with. And then as soon as you end up pre-thinking the answer or the result of the test, it's kind of like game over for accurate muscle testing. And it's like, it doesn't matter if I think the muscle test was locking or unlocking. The person who I'm doing the testing for, they're the ultimate authority. I could think that's the strongest muscle ever, but if they think, no, it really isn't, then that's what it is. We can recheck and double check a few different ways, but their answer is, that's it. That's what we're going to go with. So with that kind of a background coming in, I thought this was absolutely fantastic. and it gave me another level of depth to go back to my world with, working with people. We are all one, and then also separate at the same time. The whole duality thing is quite a mind bender for me sometimes. And then, I know we're all one. If you climb up that pendulum high enough, or the legs of the jellyfish, that doing that mental exercise is also very helpful. Another technique I've used is it's a little mental exercise of imagining their head on top of my head, kind of like a mascot head, and then it's basically just becoming the mirror, which you can't have any bias there to be a real good mirror. Horses are great examples of mirrors. I love working with horses. They're so fun. Yeah. Well, I think of the next set of things. Are there any comments on any of the things that I've gone through, or additions or clarifications, or maybe I've stimulated some aha moments? If you've had any aha moments, you can come off mute. All right.
Hey, Courtland.
Yeah. Hey.
I have a similar experience with, I see patients in mental health, and just having that vision of their divine blueprint ahead of time and during the entire session, I think has been probably the best practice that I've learned my entire career. And it's so funny because I'll have them tell me, randomly, like, just coming here, I feel better, or just talking to you, like a phone visit, I feel better, and they tell me this so much, and I'm like, that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm validating that.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I get that too. There they say, some people, they just want to sit there and, they're there for body work, hands-on work, but they'll just end up sitting in the chair, and then we'll just end up chatting. And like, I just feel so much better already. I'm just walking in. I'll get a lot of moms who bring their kids in, and one mom was a regular client. She's like, I feel like I just got worked on. I feel so much better just being here, and you just worked on my kids the whole time.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. So
yeah, and I mean that's an extension of them too. Like, you know what I mean? They're little mirrors. So yeah,
they're little mirrors. Yeah, kids end up being speakers for the household.
Yep.
And with my twin 8-year-olds, if there's somebody that is the hardest to see their divine blueprint, sometimes it's your kids. It can be really difficult, mainly because they're the ultimate mirror for yourself. So that kind of comes full circle back around to doing a self-tuning and looking past all my stuff. The ultimate healers. Yeah, so the art of the healer, it's for me, I'm not perfect at it by any means, but it's something I keep pondering. And I think that the more I concentrate on the art of the healer, the more I think capacity I have. I found it to be really, really good for also helping to regulate my nervous system, in the way that if there's nothing broken and there's nothing for me to do to fix you because you're good to go as you are, then I can't fail at any of this. I can't, because you're already great. So it takes a lot of pressure off, as long as I can stay in that frame of mind. And then it's all fun. I think it's also really helpful, just out and about during the day, interacting with people, seeing past the stories that they're presenting, and just seeing everybody's divine blueprint, which is not easy. But when I get it to go, it's a great place to be. Definitely eliminates like the anxiety and social pressures and stuff like that, and you just kind of get to be warm. Like, I feel warm, just very heart open warmth out and about. The inner voices in my head, I've noticed also over this time frame, are much more positive. And when you're in the art of the healer, and you're not, it's not just at this time and place for, working on people or you're holding it, but you're working on it every day, it's a very positive place to come from. Yeah. Out and about conversing with people, though, I find getting into conversations and, the stories, kind of come back online. That's when I start to lose it a little bit. So slowly, continuously dropping the sandbags. What I've noticed more recently, as I've been doing some journaling and things, is as I, kind of go through things I'm working on personally, and I, kind of look at it through different lenses and layers, is once I have awareness of it, of whatever, thing I find, it's much easier to drop. I just, the whole thing is just becoming aware of it, and then it's much easier to drop. Where before, that would have needed work or meditation or going to do a tuning or going for body work or something, talking to somebody. Where living in the art of the healer in the day-to-day and consistently thinking about it. That's my Roman Empire. I'm not thinking about Romans. I'm thinking about the art of the healer. And it just, that's kind of where I say it's really great for my nervous system, is because it's just a whole lot easier coming from that positive place of seeing the divine blueprint and everything. I have a lot of fun with my tuning fork sessions, especially if I get somebody coming in and we have a bit of a chat, and I slowly talk to them about, we're going to pour out your cup. Everything you got going on, we're just going to pour it out. And whatever you want to put back in it, that's what we're going to do. And I use the analogy of the puzzle. To pull you out of the puzzle of your life. You got all your funky sides and everything, and we polish you up and tune you, and you're a perfect circle, and then we just push you right back into your life, and you don't fit in the same hole anymore, so life has to rearrange around you. And I like that because it usually gets them thinking, and they don't say, "Oh, Courtland, you're full of it." They may think it, but they don't tell me. But I had one lady, she came back and she's like, I didn't quite believe you, but then, my kid came up and hugged me and was happy. Strangers held the door for me. Different things continuously happened as soon as I left your office. And she's like, that was amazing. I thought it was coincidence, and then it just kept on happening. She changed her radio station, and life rearranged around it. And she's like, that lasted for like a month. And then she's like, I had to come back because I started feeling the old stuff kind of coming back a little bit. But every time she came in, it was a new level. She was, the layers of the onion were coming off, and she was just so excited. She was so excited. She's like, I am so into this. This is awesome. She really grabbed onto the idea and ran with it. I like the grand piano. Everybody's a grand piano. Our strings just get a little out of tune. I think that helps me not disappear into kind of like a little bit of the vicious circle of, oh, this happened today, or I hurt this, and this part of my body is doing something funky, and oh, it's just a piano string that's a little out of tune. Do a little tuning, or thinking about the divine blueprint, which is resonance. You're just finding something to resonate to, like a giant crystal, giant clear quartz crystal, the generator, and just having that to resonate to. So that's kind of how I think about it. Makes it a lot easier. So for me, the art of the healer is a way of life where I had really just started thinking about it and how to be a non-diagnostic in my practice, which as a clinical massage therapist, it's like, oh, you got this knee problem or frozen shoulder or forward head posture, and just letting that go. And just kind of imagining I'm tuning piano strings or pushing the clay around back into the divine blueprint mold. And then it's always so much fun to see what people do with that. It's not about me. It's their world. I went through my material a lot faster than I had anticipated. Let's see. I guess we'll go a little bit more into kind of what I do in life. I already told you guys about my twin girls. My beautiful wife, Ashley, and I think family, man, family is, that's the real training ground for the art of the healer. They know how to poke all your buttons. Work is easy. Clients are easy compared to family. Bringing those practices into family. It can really shift, a rough energy patch, where everything is kind of going sideways. The yelling starts, or it's they're twin girls, so emotions can climb extremely quickly. So if I'm able, and when I'm able to, drop into that, thinking of the divine blueprint, light and sound, change my frequency state. It is quite remarkable what can happen. Sometimes it takes a few minutes for everything to resonate out, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what can happen. Holding that mental space capacity for clients has gotten much easier. But my next big training ground that I'm currently still, I think this will be a lifelong. This is a lifelong thing with family. But that's pretty cool. Any other comments, questions, add-ons, stories, correlations from anybody? everybody in the group.
Yeah, Courtland, I love your where you're coming from and how you're taking the time and trouble to look at what you do and try to integrate the art of the healer and what you've learned with Christopher and how you go around trying to integrate the whole thing. I think it's just awesome. And also, you was talking about the kinesiologist approach where you can't have any bias. And I'm actually seeing that right now because I'm going through some work with a chiropractor she's also a kinesiologist, and she's doing all kinds of muscle testing. And I could see her trying to do that, and also myself when she's telling me, okay, raise your arm or resist against me, and and after a while it's like, okay, I want where she stimulated the region in the back or whatever. I want it to be the key that unlocks. So I'm trying to exert the same pressure every time, but it's hard sometimes because you get tired to okay, I want this to be the one, so it's interesting,
yeah, thanks for sharing. Kinesiology is great because it's an immediate readout of where you're at mentally as well with the bias, because it's so easy, it's so quick to jump back in. That bias it's just as simple as, oh yeah, I just want this to be the one. As simple as that, nothing crazy. Yeah, so I've had a lot of fun working with the art of the healer and in the kinesiology especially, because that's where you definitely get to see you have more interaction with the client, and them being a much bigger part of the session for themselves, which I'm still working on some of that analogy, or how to frame that within the art of the healer. Yeah. Yes, thanks. Thank you, Guy. That was awesome. Okay.
Hey, Courtland.
Yes, Bliss.
This is Bliss. I love the way that you said that when you work on people, it's like they're clay and you're just putting them back to the way that they're supposed to. I know I'm not saying it like you did, but I love that analogy, how you see them as perfect and you're just moving the clay back to where it needs to be. Yeah, I love that. That is fabulous.
Yeah, I was really happy. I almost yelled Eureka or something when I thought about it. I was working on somebody and I was like, oh, this makes sense now. I figured it out. Because it really bugged me.
It does. I know, you hear things all your life and then suddenly you hear it a different way and you go, oh, now I get it.
Now I get it. Yeah. Thanks for that comment. Yeah, that was a big deal to figure that one out. That was really awesome. The other one it was my most beautiful teacher of a client. All the stories and intensity of emotions where I was like, oh, this is a lot. I was like, how do I do this? And that was when I was like, okay, just inner light, inner sound, and I was able to bring that up and hear the ringing in my ears. And then that just dropped me back into my more of the parasympathetic state, and that was so awesome. so awesome. Because if I can't do that, then, you know, I'm not, just like Christopher Tim says, if he can't see that state, there is no use doing the tuning fork work. Well, you know, I kind of view that similarly towards any kind of modality or therapy that I offer. If I can't see that divine blueprint in somebody, I'm already biased and I can't, you know, I'm not going to get that result. Yeah, the fun part is relating it to other. Work was easiest for me, you know, it's what I think about a lot, but relating it to other relations and family, it's different. Those are different. Those are different. Okay. Anybody else? 45 minutes. All right. I guess I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Thank you for everybody. The Art of the Healer and my story of how I got to understand it better.